Hey everyone, gear up because today we're diving deep into how to nail that vehicle rental agent interview.
That's right. We're going to unpack some common questions, pull out some gems from a career guide we have,
And to give you that extra edge,
and we'll even sprinkle in how RoleCatcher's AI can give you an advantage over other
it's
candidates.
like having a secret weapon. Right.
Exactly. So, first up, why do you want this job?
Yeah, the interview guide really stresses that you have to show genuine interest.
And it goes beyond just saying, I like cars. You
Yeah.
got to connect it back to, organization customer service or even maybe your love for travel.
Right, because you're helping people start their adventures, really.
That's it. So instead of I like cars, it's more like I've always loved helping people discover new places.
And I feel like this job would let me use my customer service skills and my passion for travel together.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
That shows you get what the job is really about.
It's not just renting a car, it's like renting an experience.
Exactly. Now, speaking of experiences, let's talk about those not so fun customers.
Oh, we've all had to deal with them. How do you turn that into a skill showcase, though?
Well, the interview guide I have here, it really focuses on problem solving and empathy.
So instead of just telling a story about a difficult customer,
You've got to make it about your process.
right, so when I'm dealing with a tough customer, I always try to first.
Yes. Actively listen, acknowledge their frustration, and then explain the steps you'd take to fix it.
It proves you can stay calm under pressure.
Exactly. Which leads us to our next point. This job, it's fast-paced.
No kidding. The career guide even mentions that. It's not for everyone.
And that's why the interview guide asks about thriving in that kind of setting. Think about it. 3 people at the counter all at once. One needs a quick upgrade, another's upset about a billing issue, and the last one needs help choosing a car. What do you do?
That's a real multitasking test right there.
It is, and that's where RoleCatcher can help. Imagine typing that scenario and your response into RoleCatcher, and then its AI analyzes it and suggests you emphasize certain actions like calming down the angry customer or processing the upgrade quickly.
Wow. It's like having a personal editor to make sure you're using the right keywords and showing off the right skills.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to keeping those rental cars spotless.
You know, a clean car, it's more than just that. It shows the customer you care.
Right, it's attention to detail. Like
What?
even a dirty car or a missing gas cap could ruin the whole experience.
Exactly. So when you answer this question, talk about your own experiences. Maybe you always keep your own car spotless, or maybe you were great at organizing a stock room. It all ties in.
It's about taking pride in your work, no matter how small the detail.
Absolutely. And speaking of details, let's talk upselling.
Okay, question 6 in our interview guide. It's all about increasing revenue, but also not being pushy. How do you find that balance?
Think of it as offering solutions, not pushing products. What would make your experience better if you were renting a car for a road trip? I'd probably want GPS for sure. Maybe even extra insurance, just for peace of mind.
Right, you're not selling, you're anticipating needs and offering solutions that add value.
It's about making their trip better, not just making more money off them.
Now, before we move on, I want to touch on how RoleCatcher can help you craft those perfect answers. Imagine having a tool that goes through the job description with a fine-tooth comb and tells you if your responses are hitting the mark.
Like having a personal career coach in your back pocket. That's amazing. Okay, next up, accurate rental records and paperwork. Seems kind of basic, but
But it's crucial. Think of those records as the backbone of the entire operation. Everything from billing to insurance to making sure the next customer has a smooth rental, it all depends on accurate records.
so it's more than just being good at math. It's about being detail-oriented and understanding how important those records are in a fast-paced job.
Exactly. And this is where you can talk about any experience you have with databases, spreadsheets, or even specific software used in the industry. Even mentioning your own system for staying organized can be helpful.
It shows you get it. You understand that the small stuff matters.
Exactly. And that's something every hiring manager wants to hear.
Now let's talk about making sure those rental cars come back on time and in good condition.
Uh-huh.
Seems pretty self-explanatory, but I'm guessing there's more to it than meets the eye.
You're right. It's not just about checking the gas gauge and looking for dents. It's about communication, managing customer expectations, and sometimes dealing with those tricky situations where a car comes back late or damaged.
So you're like a coach almost,
Yeah.
making sure they know how to take care of the car and follow the rules.
Exactly. You set clear expectations from the start and tackle any potential problems head on. Have you ever had to have one of those awkward conversations with someone about something coming back late or damaged?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think everyone's been there,
Yeah.
relating it back to your own life, but through the lens of this job.
Yeah.
That's smart. Okay, Last question from the guide before we move on to the bigger career picture. Staying up to date with industry trends and tech.
That's a big one, especially in a field that's changing so fast. Think about it. Electric vehicles, contactless rentals, new booking platforms. It's crazy.
Not like the Wild West out there.
Right. So when you answer this question, show them you're curious and adaptable. Do you follow any industry blogs? Have you tried out those new rental apps?
Even just mentioning you're interested in learning about a specific technology they use could go a long way.
Exactly. It shows you're thinking ahead.
Yeah.
And speaking of thinking ahead, the career guide we have, it's not just for entry-level positions, right?
Right. It talks about moving up senior agent supervisor, even managing your own branch someday. That's exciting.
Exactly. And mentioning this in the interview, it subtly shows ambition. It shows you see yourself growing with the company.
It's like you're saying, hey, I'm here for the long haul.
Exactly. And speaking of going above and beyond, the guide also mentions building a portfolio, which might seem strange for this role, but it shows you're serious.
What would a portfolio even look like for a vehicle rental agent? I'm drawing a blank here.
Think outside the box. Have you gotten amazing customer feedback? Can you showcase times you successfully upsold something? Maybe even certificates from training programs you've completed.
So even if they don't ask for it, having that ready to go shows them you're invested in your professional development.
Exactly. And that ties in perfectly with RoleCatcher. It's not just about acing the interview.
Right. It's about setting yourself up for success throughout your career.
Exactly. RoleCatcher's AI can actually analyze those growth paths we talked about in the career guide, and then it can point out skills you might need to work on as you move up.
Wow. So it's like having a roadmap, and RoleCatcher is your GPS, guiding you every step of the way. Okay. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's get back to the interview. We talked about communication being important, but there's no direct question about it in the guide.
Because it's woven into everything a rental agent does, explaining the rental agreement, handling complaints, even that friendly enjoy your trip. It all comes down to how well you communicate.
It's like you're a communication chameleon, adapting to each customer and situation.
Exactly. So how do you show that off in an interview? First, be a great listener. Pay attention. Ask clarifying questions if you need to.
It shows you're really listening and not just waiting for your turn to talk.
Exactly. And when you do speak, be clear, concise, and ditch the jargon. Could you explain those rental terms to someone renting a car for the very first time?
It's like translating collision damage waiver into plain English.
Exactly. Now let's not forget about body language. Eye contact, a genuine smile. Those speak volumes, especially when you're working directly with customers.
It's like saying, hey, I'm here to help, without actually saying it.
Right. Speaking of helping, let's talk about the money side of things.
It's not just about cars, it's about cash flow.
You got it.
Yeah.
The interview guide even has a question about it, how you handle transactions and all that sensitive financial information.
Right. Question number 5. It's tempting to just say, I'm good with numbers. But how do you really sell that financial responsibility?
Think beyond just being good with numbers. Highlight your experience with point-of-sale systems, cash registers, even accounting software, if you've used it. Accuracy is key, but so is security.
So mentioning things you do to prevent fraud or protect customer data, that's smart.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It shows you handling those transactions, it's a big deal.
It's about being trustworthy and responsible. And that ties back to the bigger career picture. If you're thinking about becoming a supervisor someday, those skills are essential.
Exactly. And that's where RoleCatcher can really help you connect the dots. Let's say you're practicing your answer to that financial question. RoleCatcher's AI might notice something's missing, like mentioning you're comfortable doing end-of-day reports, something a supervisor would do.
So it's giving you really specific feedback tailored to a vehicle rental agent's career path. That's pretty cool.
It's like having a personal career advisor. Okay. As we wrap up this deep dive, any final tips for our listeners who are getting ready for their interviews?
I think the biggest thing is to be prepared. We've gone over so much today. Use it. Research the company. Practice your answers out loud. Maybe even have a friend do a mock interview with you.
All great advice. And don't underestimate those first impressions. Dress professionally, even if it's a more relaxed workplace. Looking sharp shows you're serious.
Like you're ready to step behind that counter and get to work.
And finally, and this is the most important one, be yourself.
I love that. Because in the end, a genuine smile and a positive attitude can make all the difference.
Exactly. They've got your skills and experience. Now they want to see the real you.
That's a great place to wrap up. So to everyone out there getting ready for that vehicle rental agent interview, You've got
Very
this,
impressive.
a little prep some confidence and that role catcher magic, and you'll be cruising into that new job in no time.
Best of luck on your career journey, everyone. Until next time, when we'll dive deep into another exciting career path.